To the big international update, we are tracking this political turmoil in Bangladesh. After facing weeks of anti-government protests, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has fled the country. The army chief of Bangladesh made the announcement while promising to put an end to what he called anarchy. In a live broadcast, Chief of Army Staff Zaman said a caretaker government would be formed. Visuals show thousands of protesters storming the palace of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who has fled her residence for a quote-unquote safer place. Bangladesh's Channel 24 has broadcast visuals of a huge crowd celebrating outside Sheikh Hasina's residence. In what comes as a strong display of dissatisfaction against the Hasina regime, a statue of her late father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, colloquially referred to as the founder of Bangladesh, was vandalized. The army chief also said that troops have been ordered not to shoot at the protesters. This comes after a bloody Sunday when at least 98 protesters died and several injured in clashes. The death toll is around 300 since the demonstrations began a month back over a High Court ruling in favor of reinstating 30% quota in government jobs for descendants of freedom fighters. Hasina's refusal to meet the students led to the protests turning violent. The government had to cut off all connectivity through broadband or internet for 11 days, which is yet to be restored fully. There's heavy police and army presence on the streets of Dhaka. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by senior journalist Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhry and Bangladesh's former Foreign Secretary Shamsher M. Chaudhry on the broadcast to get us the latest and what's happening in Bangladesh. Let's start first with Salahuddin Chaudhry. Mr. Chaudhry, thank you for making time and speaking to us. For the benefit of our viewers, do we have clarity as to where Sheikh Hasina is headed? What is the latest on that front?
Thank you very much. Actually, for the last several days, particularly from the July 17th, this country was witnessing so much of terrorist activities and vandalism, arson attacks and uncertainties. And there was curfew, there was internet outage, and so on. And after the things came to a little bit of normalcy when army came on the street following the imposition of curfew for a few days. But again, things started going worse for the last 3 days. And this student movement protest, which began with the demand to reform the quota, it thematically, for the last 3 days, it turned into a one-point movement demanding resignation of Sheikh Hasina. Now, this morning, actually, although there was indefinite curfew imposed from last evening throughout the country, so from this morning we have been seeing thousands of people entering Dhaka city and heading towards Shahbag, very near to the Dhaka University. So we were almost anticipating that people are not abiding by the curfew. Things started getting a dramatic change when there was a declaration on the local television channels that the Army Chief General Wakar Zaman will be addressing the nation. It was initially set for 2 p.m., but then it took place at 4:30, very brief. And during this briefing, the Army Chief said Sheikh Hasina has resigned and she has left the country. And they are going to form an interim government, and he called upon people to refrain from terrorist activities, destruction, vandalism, because he said such things cannot bring anything good to the nation. And prior to this press briefing, the army chief met political parties for discussion. There was a representative from BNP, there was a representative of Jamaat Islami and Jatiya Party and others. Awami League did not participate in the dialogue. So now, instead of the vandalism and terrorism, what we are witnessing, now we are seeing that people are chanting slogans and demonstrate, they are celebrating. But at the same time, there is currently looting going on at the residence of the Prime Minister.
Okay, looting going on at the residence of Sheikh Hasina's residence. Please stay on with us. Bangladesh's former Foreign Secretary Shamsher M. Chaudhry is also with us. So thank you for staying with us. everybody has seen those visuals of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's statue being vandalized. This is unprecedented. For the benefit of our viewers, could you explain to us what does the new army regime in Bangladesh mean for the country and for the rest of the world?
Thank you. First of all, I don't even for a moment support the idea of destroying the statue of the father of the nation. But I guess in a mob situation like this, things are not always logical. Everybody was waiting with great anticipation what the army chief was going to say. And he came on the air, as the previous speaker said, around 4:30, something like that. And more like 4 o'clock. And it was not a written speech. He read out, he just spoke to the media present there. What he said that the Prime Minister has resigned, and he didn't specify she has left the country. Yes, she has resigned. And the political and civil society people who have been, who are meeting with the army chief, and maybe some senior officers of the army also, at the army headquarters, have come to an agreement that they will go to the president to form an interim government. The very word interim means that whatever government is formed, it has to be within the terms of the country's constitution, otherwise it will be constitutional vacuum. And number two, that it will be an interim government.
Right.
I don't know what is the length of the interim government will be, which also implies that there will be call for fresh elections. Now, the interesting thing that I find is the group of people who were called to meet the army chief. Among them, the BNP leaders, he did not name them, but there was the two leaders from Jatiyo Party. I spoke to one of them just a while ago, and they are on their way to the president's house to work out an interim arrangement that is covered by the constitution. Now, the fact that no emergency has been declared makes it very clear that the constitution is very much in force.
Okay.
Whatever solution comes to, it has to be within the constitution. My own reading with limited knowledge of constitutional law is that the parliament will remain. Prime Minister from another party will be appointed for a 3-month period, and then they'll go for a fresh election. So that will ensure the continuity of the constitution, but not the constitution of the present parliament.
Okay. So quickly in 2 seconds.
Public resentment has been growing since the last election, which was seriously flawed. The one before that, which was even more blatantly flawed. And but this time it outburst in the form of the quota reform issue. But then it became a much broader public movement where people coming up from all sides, and made worse by police firing and killing unarmed students. Video footage of police firing on unarmed students had really fueled the fire enormously. I mean, there was a young student who was supplying water to the protesters. He has been shot. A helicopter gun shot fired from a helicopter, apparently a police helicopter. A little child was killed when the bullet hit his head on the 6th floor of their apartment, of their building. So all this seems of yesterday, close to 100 people were killed. Then the Awami League government's decision to unleash their student wing on the protesters, which led to merciless attacks on the protesters by the Chhatra League, backed by the police. And the Chhatra League people were wearing helmets and all kinds of things. All this combined made an already bad situation far worse. And then it came to there was a 9-point demand was made by the civil society, which eventually, when the killings continued, was turned into a 1-point the resignation of the Prime Minister. It actually happened today, and she has left the country.
Yeah. So my follow-up question was: is there any clarity on where Sheikh Hasina is headed? Any clarity, any confirmation on that front?
I'm afraid I don't have any clarification. It is all speculation, rumor. Some say she's in Agartala. Some say she's somewhere in West Bengal. Some say she has left with her sister. We don't know who else has accompanied her. But I don't think she will try to find a safe place in Bangladesh, given the present anger of the mob, especially the youth. It is the younger generation who came under attack. They are jobless. Now, the fact that the representative of the Jamaat, which is not a registered political party, and which has very recently been banned by the government through an executive order, at the meeting with the army chief is something that we cannot ignore. This party is not registered in the Election Commission. This party is a banned political party. In spite of all that, the army chief perhaps felt compelled to include the Jamaat in the arrangements that are being worked out now. There are civil society members who are progressive, Asif Nazrul, maybe Hossein Zillur Rahman, the Jatiya Party representative Parishani Sultan Mahmood. I don't know who from the BNP was, but the army chief also made it clear there was nobody from the Awami League at the meeting.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary and Salahuddin Chaudhary, for making time and speaking to CNBC on these developments that are unfolding in the country of Bangladesh. We will keep following up on these updates. For now, it's time for a short break. But coming up next, Indigo set to launch business class travel on the